Oh.
All right, welcome to Rock Vegas, everybody. This is Glen Rockney. Yeah, not exactly. I don't even know how I want to start this. This is not exactly what I planned on talking about this week. Had a nice bye week. Didn't do a show. Sorry, but my show would have been full of optimism last week had I done a show. Raiders are a 5-2 team. First place, 2 seed in the AFC if the season ended today. I mean, hey, it doesn't end today, but still, I'd rather be here than not the number 1 seed or number 2 seed, excuse me, first place in the AFC West. The bye week happens, right? The Chargers dropped one to the Patriots at home at SoFi. Herbert doesn't look good. And you're like, okay, maybe teams are starting to figure this out, this whole Herbert thing. He's had 2 bad games in a row. The Chiefs eke one out against the Giants. Don't look good in that game. Broncos win, but they also don't look very good. It took a lot for them to beat a very bad Washington team. Then you have the Raiders sitting pretty. And of course, like many Raider fans, like myself, and if you listen to the show, I on Twitter, a lot of people come at me for being pessimistic. And like, how could I not be, right? Less than a month goes by. In less than a month span, I should say. John Gruden ousted as the head coach. Kind of embarrassing. Spotlight put on you on the league. You don't know what to make of it. How's the team going to respond? But the team really rallied around Rich Bisaccia. Looked refreshed, looked good. Spread the ball around, played good defense. Handily beat 2 teams that they should handily beat. And you're like, wow, okay, we've gotten past that, right? We've gotten past the Gruden thing. Here comes another obstacle. Henry Ruggs, I'll say it, he killed somebody behind the wheel of his car. Wasn't intentional, but he killed somebody. Somebody died at his hands, at the hands of his vehicle at least. And I get, look, I got to say, he's almost a co-host of the show. He's on a lot. Matt Fallon couldn't make it tonight, but I mean, he posted about it early in the morning. Henry Ruggs may have been involved in a bad car accident. He said bad car accident in the morning. And everybody's like, Matt, come on, what the fuck, dude? Like, you can't do that. Like, you can't just say that. You can't speculate that. Even in my head, I'm like, damn, Matt, you sure? About an hour later, you start seeing the TMZ report. And then Raider Nation's like, TMZ, what do they know? I don't know, man. I believe TMZ. They're right about a lot of shit. I mean, I know they've maybe they've embellished the details a little bit at times, but like, the accident happened, right? This is a police report they were going off. So Henry Ruggs, we find out we don't know what happened to Henry Ruggs either at this time when the news drops, and you're like, oh, dude, like, is he alive? First of all, was it a multiple car accident? Was it a I hadn't seen the pictures, at least I know there was pictures, but was it a single car accident? Was he drunk? You know, my mind was at 3:40 a.m. in Vegas. Typically driving at that night, unless you do not drink at all, I don't, you have to assume that at least if you weren't hammered, you maybe you had a few, right? And he had been posting from Top Golf that night. I don't really follow players on Instagram like that, but a lot of people do, I guess. He had been posting from Top Golf. Vegas looked like he was having a fun time there. And He drove. And so then we find out he's alive, right? And we're like, okay, what's the damage, right? What's the damage? What are we talking about here? Is he hurt? Is he going to miss time? Is he going to be suspended? And did he hurt somebody? Turns out somebody died. Young person, young woman, I believe it was, died. Her and her dog in the seat were hit. And you know, I'm doing this chronologically right now. And Raider Nation, it was weird. I saw a lot of fans, and I'm really tired of this mentality on Twitter from Raider Nation, where it's like, I hate the fake empathy. Because like my head immediately went, okay, we need a new wide receiver. In my head, at least for the time being, right? Because at this point, I'm like, okay, he was a drunk driving accident, and I believe somebody died, right? I don't know if it was his passenger, if it was the person he killed, but I'm like, this ain't going to end well, at least this season. This is a 5-2 team. We need to get a new wide receiver. But Raider Nation's like, oh, somebody died. We can't be talking about this right now. We can't be doing this. We can't. Why is it people's first reaction to say, let's go trade for Odell Beckham. Let's go trade for Darius Slayton, Brandon Cooks, Allen Robinson. You know why? Because we're fans of the team. I'm sorry. Unless you scan the police blotter or, obituaries for drunk driving accidents and stuff daily and react to all of them, you only cared because Henry Ruggs was involved. We're fans of the team. That's why we're on Twitter, Raiders Twitter. I'm on there for other things, but like Raiders too. I'm there. I'm in there. I'm on Raiders Twitter. I do a Raiders podcast. I'm obsessed with the team. And you know, some people were saying, "Oh man, don't vilify Henry Ruggs. Don't talk." You know, everybody makes mistakes. This is a bad mistake, man. Like, this is a bad mistake. It is what it is. I understand the idea. Look, I can't tell you that every time I've gotten behind the wheel of a car that I've been completely sober. It's happened. I'm older now. When I was Henry's age, hey, it's happened. But he was going 127 miles an hour when the airbags deployed, and 156 mile an hour top gear, like top speed, top time, like just holy shit, man. And hit somebody, just plowed through the back of him. He had a loaded pistol in the car, and I'm not going to judge. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. That's people can have guns. He had a loaded pistol in the car. He had his girlfriend in the car. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? He's done. He is no longer a Raider. The Raiders released him. So now the Raiders actually released him before I found out all the nuts and bolts. So I was kind of like, whoa. Are we sure we want to cut this guy right now? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he might just be suspended through the rest of the year. Might have to do some community service, pay a fine, do a little Dante Stallworth time, miss a year. I'm like, hey, it's only his second year and he's playing well. Like, is this what we want to do? And then you see the rest of the details and you're like, no, man, like this guy might not ever play football again. We don't know what his sentence is going to be. But I'm pretty sure he's going to do some time in jail. He's going to do jail time. Like, I don't think you can get out of this. I couldn't bring myself to watch the videos. You know, there were videos. I couldn't bring myself to do that because I do like Henry Ruggs as a player. It took me a while. Last year, I wasn't a big fan of him. I liked him as a player. I try not to get attached to players as characters, a way a lot of football fans do, because at the end of the day, I'm a fan of the team and the show must go on. Certain guys I like more than others. Certain guys I think are funny. And certain guys I don't necessarily like their character, but it is what it is. It's a football team. You know, I don't know where I want to go with this right now. It's just, man, like, how much can a team handle for this? And obviously thoughts and prayers go out to the victim's family. That's awful. That's awful. I mean, like, they have to live with that forever. Henry Ruggs has to live with that forever. I'm the type of person where if I do something wrong, even in the slightest, like if I know, like, you ever like walk away from a conversation with someone, you're like, man, I sound like a dick there. Immediately, I try to go correct that situation. I try to go, hey, man, I don't know what the hell I was talking about there, man. Like, my bad. Like, that sounded terrible. I'm sorry. Having a bad day, no excuse, but like, you know, that didn't come out the way I wanted to, or you didn't deserve that. Henry Ruggs can't do that. He can go apologize to the family, and what's that going to do? What's that going to do? And again, 22-year-old man, nobody's perfect at that age. The problem is he made maybe one of the worst mistakes a human being can make. One of them. And he's gone. And he's gone from the team. He's not a Raider anymore. So, I mean, a year and 7 games with the team, and he's gone. Again, we don't know what type his court date set for November 10th. I saw it's going to be very tough for him to even get any kind of reduction. I know he's going to probably, it's definitely a millionaire. So I think he's going to end up that his money's going to definitely go towards the family. I would imagine restitution, stuff like that. But man, like just from there, I got to say, I mean, I'm not insensitive to it, but the first thing that came to my mind, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, like what? Are we cursed? Are we cursed? I mean, it's tough not to go there. Let's just talk about in the last month what happened. Like I said, John Gruden's gone. You're like, okay, anybody like me who was not a John Gruden fan as a coach, like I wasn't a fan. But I was like, dude, in the middle of the season like this, sweeping, just pulling the rug out from under you, just, whoa, shit, you're all stripping the foundation of the franchise. You know what I mean? Like in the offseason, it would have been a lot easier. That happens, right? Raiders bounce back. It's wonderful. But then also, like, lost in all this, Darren Waller had like a freak accident. Like where he just slips on, I don't know, he trip on somebody's leg or something like that and just sprained his ankle a little bit, had to miss a game. So then that happens. And now the Ruggs situation. And what did Ruggs do for this offense? Like look, his rookie year, even without being that much of a contributor, like even without being like, I was definitely on his head, like, dude, you got to produce more than this. Like you cannot just be a decoy out there. But God damn, he unlocked the offense. He unlocked the offense for this team. The defense had to account for him scoring 6 points on every play. You saw it a lot this year. The underneath stuff was just wide open. And I don't know if we have that anymore. I don't know if we have that person going over the top. Maybe Waller has to play a little more outside. Zay Jones, look, it sounds like if Zay Jones got cut from the team wouldn't be able to survive. Everybody loves him. He's like the coolest guy in the world. Now, I don't know if I trust him as being the deep threat on this team. Brian Edwards, who I like, and I think the last game, he had a really nice game. I'd say his best game as a Raider. Looked really good. Caught balls at all points of the field. Even though, against Denver too, just really had some great plays. He's looking good. He's kind of one of those. He's also not a burner though. He's going to be that contested catch guy. Yards after the catch, I think he's really good. Still not a burner. Ruggs had that rare speed you had to account for. I expect Waller to get Baltimore Ravens level targets again. What did he have, like 19 targets in the opening game against the Ravens? I expect him to get a lot of those. I expect Renfro to get a lot of targets. And I like Renfro a lot, but I like minimal targets to Renfro. I don't like running the offense through Hunter Renfro. Kenyon Drake is another guy I'd like to see get more targets in absence of Ruggs. Not at Ruggs' position, but if you looked at last game against the Eagles, I really like throwing to him on first down when he's out on the field. I really like throwing to Jacobs on first down when he's on the field. I like that more than running Jacobs on first down, to be honest. I like running Jacobs on like 2nd and 4, right? After gaining 6 yards on first down, because teams give it to you for free because you had Henry Ruggs running down the field. It's going to get interesting. It's going to get interesting with a guy like Derek Carr, who has been chucking it down the field this year, if he still remains that confident doing it. We don't know if that's going to be the case. I like the way they played against Philly last week. I really did. I thought that offense was like, that's what I want to see. Philly would play the too high look. They didn't let anything happen deep, and the Raiders just picked them apart underneath. And I really like that. It's just Ruggs is the X factor of this offense. I mean, he was. I can't even say is anymore. It still does not feel real that he's not on the team. Like the accident feels real. It's like that happened. But we're like, fuck, he's not on the team anymore. He might not play an NFL snap ever again. He might be end up becoming like a guy, 5 years from now, 6 years from now, ends up playing again. But he's no longer that pit, he's no longer that young, flashy weapon that the Raiders have, that X factor. I agree in the chat over here that Olsen will have the offense ready. I've loved what Olsen's done with this team. Like I really have. Olsen, whether it's Cable, whoever it is, a collaborative effort between the two. I really like what he's done, and I think they're going to adjust. I would like to see them take a look at Deshaun Jackson. I know Deshaun Jackson is not what he was, but he can still run a deep route. He can still do that. Really wanted to go after Brandon Cooks. It almost felt like the Raiders. I don't know. You didn't even hear reports about them calling to other teams because it felt like they were just dealing with a mess that landed in their lap. They didn't do anything really. Maybe I know John Brown signed with the Broncos. I'm not sure if they kept him after the Raiders played, but got to bring somebody else in. I think I do because they're bringing in Marcel Aitman. I saw that he's back, and that doesn't do anything for me at all. But man, because it's fair to say that Henry Ruggs could have gone down with an ACL this year, and it would have been sad. We would have been like, damn, dude, Henry Ruggs went down with an ACL. It's, damn, we lost him. We lost him for the year, maybe a little bit of next year. Oh man, brutal. But we're never getting him back. Okay, so they did cut John Brown. Okay, so yeah, might be worth. I know he's maybe a little soured on the Raiders. He asked for a release. Well, guess what? The reason John Brown got released is because the Raiders were excited about their two young wide receivers. They only have one young wide receiver now that they can be excited about. So, but yeah, Ruggs, he's gone. So we're not you might have to draft a receiver next year. What this does to this team is insane. The ripple effect. I've talked about wasting picks, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. Where you draft a defensive end 4th overall, but then you have to go sign Yannick Ngakoue later when you draft Crosby and Furl, and those are supposed to be your guys, but Furl doesn't end up being the guy, and you have to then go into free agency, spend money rather than having that controllable rookie contract. Now with Ruggs, you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to try to find that speed guy somewhere else, and those guys aren't everywhere in the league. There's fast guys, but Ruggs was really starting to put it together. But yeah, no, they're not going to sign another guy before this game. And even if they did, that guy's not going to walk into the room and get considerable snaps. I get that. I'm not talking about for this week. I'm glad that they're playing the New York Giants this week. I know it's a road game, East Coast, but the Raiders are coming off a bye. They should be rested. So I'm going to talk about an optimistic thing that I'm optimistic about with this whole situation, and a pessimistic thing. Something that's really eating at me. Got killed for it a little bit on Twitter today. Some people agreed. Some people were like, fuck you, die. I was like, all right, right on. One guy said my podcast sucks. I was like, damn, dude, I'd rather you tell me to die. But so one thing I will say, I don't think this is as bad as for the team. I will say this for the team, and they look sad today. I saw Bisaccia's press conference. I saw Carr's press conference. Bisaccia handled himself fantastic. If Gruden was the coach for this, I'd be tearing my hair out of my head. I got a lot of it. I'd be tearing my hair out of my head because I don't know if I don't know if the team bought into him. If the team buys into Bisaccia, I think Bisaccia looked genuinely sad. Holy crap, man. I lost somebody, Now, with that being said, Henry Ruggs is still alive. The team did not lose anybody. They didn't lose you. They're not going to Henry Ruggs' funeral, right? I don't know how they're not, because he crashed into a car going 127 miles an hour. The drunk driver never dies. It's insane. I mean, sometimes they do, but you always hear about somebody being killed about a drunk driver, but not the actual drunk driver. they're not going to his funeral. They're not losing a friend. I mean, he's not on the team anymore, and it's a very shocking thing to wake up to. So I'm wondering if maybe like they're like, look, man, let's treat this like an injury. Let's treat this like, we lost Henry for the season. And in the offseason, we'll address this big time. I'm sure they had to have a meeting about it. Of course, you can't just go on without it. We're talking about I'd say a top 5 player on this team. All right. I mean, am I wrong? I'm just saying, as far as impact, what he does, he's part of the Swiss watch, man. The Raiders offense right now under Olsen is like a Swiss watch, where it's like almost like San Antonio Spurs like offense in basketball, where it's here, little sprinkle, little passes here. You get some buckets, we're going to move the ball around. We're going to do this. And it's not just feed the ball down in the low post and let somebody score. It was very much, we lost a key component in that watch, but I'm not sure that this is going to hit the team as hard as it did against Chicago, where everybody looked like, like in Madden, where they like zap your ability or something, like your endurance goes down and your player just sucks. You like have a mobile quarterback and he starts like crawling out of the pocket. You're like, okay. And then he fumbles. Like that. That's how they looked against the Bears. But I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case in this game. And yes, they did have a Zoom meeting, and he said he gave them all the facts. And Rich, I think for a long time he kind of was the backbone of that coaching staff. It just seems like it was a no-brainer that he was going to be the interim coach for the team. Like they're like, well, that's our guy now. Whoever they appointed as head coach, people would go to Rich Bisaccia as that. And I swear to God, dude, if he gets them to the playoffs after this, give him like the job. Like there is no question. If he still maintains this as a playoff team after being thrown all these type of curveballs, he can handle anything, and he needs that head coaching job. And another thing I'm optimistic about is that the next 2 opponents are winnable games without Henry Ruggs. It's true. They should beat the Giants. I watched the next 2 Raiders opponents. I watched them play each other, and I ended up laughing at both teams. Like that, I'm sorry. Daniel Jones is a solid quarterback. I think he's a solid quarterback. I don't think his situation's fantastic. I think Joe Judge is a moron at head coach. Guy burns timeouts like just nothing. Hotcakes. They're banged up at wide receiver. I think they got just absolutely ripped apart by COVID this week. If I'm not mistaken, I have not been keeping up on the Giants. I have not been keeping up on the Giants, but the Giants, I believe, have had a COVID outbreak. Saquon Barkley tested positive, and there were, I'm looking up right now just to make sure, because I'm just getting home from work, so I have not been keeping up with what the Giants were, but I did notice that they've had a few. Let's see. Sorry, this is bad podcasting on my part, but Saquon Barkley tested positive, and Xavier McKinney, Matt Skura on the offensive line, they tested positive. Dave Gettleman too, which I didn't realize that. They're banged up. They're absolutely banged up. You can't say they're in worse shape than the Raiders as far as like, holy shit, the Raiders had a bomb dropped on them again, like an atom bomb twice in a month. But you got to fight. You got to fight. You have to. You got to go out there and win. Without Henry Ruggs, they are better than the New York Giants, and I think they're better than the Chiefs. Truly. Yeah, Hayes, I hear you, dude. Like I was fucking Rodgers, dude. Rodgers is out, and like whatever, is what it is. Of course, it's against the Chiefs, where I truly thought the Packers were going to boat race the Chiefs this week. Like it was just going to be. They still might win, by the way, because the Chiefs can go after Jordan Love, can press him, but for one, they have no film on Jordan Love. Besides some preseason, but not Jordan Love running an actual offense that the coach cares about. And I don't know if they can stop Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. But The Raiders are better than both these teams on paper. You'd like to have Ruggs against Chiefs. You saw what he did to him last year. It was probably Ruggs' best game, right? And but they could still beat both of these teams. Even if you split with both these teams, and we get out of here. You just can't go 0-2. But I want to win both. I want to be 7-2. Build that lead. Chargers look a little off right now. Keep building on it. It's if they get past this, if they get to 7-2 or even 6-3, going down the stretch of the last 8 games of the season, that's 7 games of the season, that's not a bad place to be in. Because as much what we learned about Gruden, right? I had already kind of not forgotten about Gruden, but we had moved on, right? After those 2 wins, winning cures it all. If you can win after something bad happens, your team ends up getting over that, right? Your team ends up getting over that and keeps it moving. You start to realize, okay, this is life now. This is my team now. This is what it is, and we're winning. We're maintaining it. Because after these next 2 games, the schedule gets really tough. I don't know the exact order, but you have Cincinnati, Dallas, a couple other big time teams on there. Like, it's going to get tough. So you're going to want to have that buffer in the win-loss column and maybe in the division too. So they're going to have to get after Daniel Jones, get after him. He likes to fumble. He can throw a pick from time to time too. But he can also hurt you. Good thing I like about the Raiders matching up in this is the Raiders do not allow big plays to happen in their secondary. And I have not looked. Is Trayvon Mullen back at practice yet? I have not seen that. If that's the case, I don't know if he is, but does not seem to be. Yeah, no, he does not seem to be back at practice at this moment. But you want to. They've been playing well. You want to have face on Nate Hobbs, Casey Hayward, just not giving up that big play. Trayvon Merrick's been doing a really nice job as a deep safety. The Giants can kill you with those big plays down the field, is what they do. Doesn't seem like they're going to have Saquon Barkley, and their offensive line is not great. Can be beat. Andrew Thomas has been getting better, but he struggles still. And Max Crosby's leading the league in pressures. I want that. That has to keep going. I mean, I hate to say that. I hate to expect perfection out of somebody, but he's got to stay perfect for this to be a thing. Yannick's been so close to a strip sack, so close. We used to have a guy named Arden Key who used to get close to a sack. No, Yannick Ngakoue gets sacks. He's very close to a strip sack. And let's get that ball out. Scoop and score. We need like a defensive touchdown. I think the Raiders are going to win this game. I think they need to. I think they're going to get focused. I think they're going to get right. And I don't think they're going to come out sluggish. I mean, if they come out sluggish, I don't know if it's going to be related. I think they might just, teams have bad games, but coming out, they are coming off a bye. They should be a little bit. It should be a little bit refreshing as far as what am I trying to say? It should be like the guys should have fresher legs. What's going on, Raider Rich? How you doing, man? Thanks for everybody for showing up, by the way. If you don't subscribe to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. This is RC Sports channel, all sports stuff, Raiders, and then I do another sports show every other week when I have the time to do it. But yeah, Waller's back though. Hello, Waller and Jacobs back. That's huge because Josh Jacobs looked like he was really figuring it out. And so it looks like we might not have John Simpson. He was playing real well against the Eagles with that, which was a shame to see him go down holding his knee like that. But at least they didn't put him on IR, which is nice. And then Hankins, yeah, you're gonna want Hankins, but against this Giants team, I think they're gonna try to pick you apart with the passing game a little bit more. So I think you're gonna need games from Solomon Thomas, Quentin Jefferson, who's been fantastic the last couple of weeks. And defensive line needs to keep eating. Corners need to keep the ball in front of them. And the safeties need to keep doing what they've been doing. Abram and Merrick have been a very nice combination back there. And so yeah, I think this is a good opponent to have this week. They're horribly banged up. And yeah, let's see what happens. Just one last thing I want to talk about today. This is kind of negative, but I put a tweet out today, and I knew some people. I'm still getting negative responses from it. I know some people love to do PR for the Raiders against Raider fans. I'm just pointing out something that I thought everybody noticed. Okay, so the Raiders had 5 first-round picks from 2019 to 2020: Clelin Ferrell, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Abram, Henry Ruggs, Damon Arnett. Okay. For a long time, pretty much everybody's been saying they didn't really use those picks all that well, right? Ferrell is absolutely lead pipe lock. Okay, so Simpson was bad. I'm sorry. I'm trying to read the chat while I'm doing anything. Sorry about that, guys. Thank you for keeping me up on that. Simpson's back at practice. That's fantastic. That's good. That's good. We're healthy minus, I won't even say his name anymore. So those 5 guys, right? Same again. Clelin Ferrell, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Abram, Henry Ruggs, Damon Arnett. 2 of those guys, I know you can't say anything about Henry Ruggs. They drafted him. He looked like he was developing nicely into a really good wide receiver. He's not on the team anymore. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Say you do toss that one out. Wow. Freak accident. This just makes those picks like Clelin Ferrell and Damon Arnett like, holy shit, dude, like bad misses. Because I think it's a miracle this team's 5-2 while not drafting well at the top of the draft. Our top pick is struggling again this year. I actually think Leatherwood's going to be okay going down the road. I think he's going to be okay. He's playing out of position and all year has been playing out of position. He's a left tackle. You're watching a guy like Christian Darrisaw this year for the Vikings doing really well the last couple of games, but he's playing the position that he played in college. But yeah, it's just these type of things. Like, let's just say that the Raiders look, and people say, well, Glenn, who would you have taken? Josh Jacobs is a good running back. I don't like taking running backs in the first round. There is no reason to do it anymore. The only running back in the league where a team just cannot survive without him, and we don't even know if this is true, but I think in my head is Derrick Henry, is where a team like is drastically different without their running back, is Derrick Henry. If Nick Chubb goes down, Cleveland has Kareem Hunt, right? It's not that different. Dalvin Cook goes down, they have Alexander Madison. Madison does a nice job. But Derrick Henry is like the guy. It's like he's the guy. Teams have to game plan to try to erase Derrick Henry. Everything else is super dependent on the offensive line, typically. Right? Even if you do draft a good running back, if you don't have a good offensive line, that good running back does not produce like a first-round pick, more than likely, unless you're just some physical freak. So when people say Josh Jacobs is a good player, that's true. Was he a good pick? I don't think so. At that time, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Do you think that Josh Jacobs gets a second contract with the Raiders? Because everybody I draft in the first round, if I draft somebody in the first round, I anticipate giving them a second contract. That's how you have to treat it. So what I'm saying is you have 2 complete busts. You have Ferrell and Arnett. You have one freak thing that happens with Henry Ruggs. Okay, I'm not going to hold that against you. That that looked like it was going to end up being a good pick. So you have 3 guys that are not really contributing to this team. Then you have 2 guys, Josh Jacobs and Jonathan Abram. So let's get to Jonathan Abram, right? Okay, you look at who was picked around Jonathan Abram's time. He's not worse than those guys, right? Now, in my opinion, yeah, the weird part about the Raiders having 5 first-round picks is that they didn't trade back once. especially that later one. Usually teams are always trying to get to that 28 spot to get somebody, or even if you just get a little something. With Arnett and Abram, I thought there was a great trade back opportunity. And with, especially with Arnett, Trayvon Diggs drafted later in that draft, Jalen Johnson drafted later in that draft, both guys really good. So with Jonathan Abram, people say, well, Abram's good now. Some people say he's great now. And it's like, dude, pump the brakes, first of all. He's playing well this year. He's playing well. Solid to well, in my opinion. I don't think he's playing great. I think he's playing solid to well. He's made some plays. And he's not a liability out there. I will absolutely agree with everybody. For one, it's been 7 games. And if last year your take when Abram was rated by PFF the worst safety in the league, if you said that it wasn't enough to say that he was a bust by that point, it's not enough to say he's good after 7 games of this year, right? It's not enough. So yeah, with like Josh Jacobs, I would have loved to have like Montez Sweat instead of that, There's just certain things. Like it's not so much who you take, it's who you don't take, right? And we understand Hayes is pointing it out. I agree. He's pointing it out. We had Gruden at the helm. Gruden had the final say in a lot of stuff. It'll be very interesting if they hold on to Mike Mayock, which if they finish with a winning record, I think they will. If they hold on to Mike Mayock, it'll be interesting to see who they draft, the style of player they pick next year. It'll be interesting. And now, that's all I'm saying. Like, this team is good. It's a 5-2 team. It's a good team that's gone through hell and back. But can you imagine if they had just hit, and I'm talking about valuable position, good player on 2 of those picks. And I'm not talking about Jacobs and Abram. I'm talking about like home run picks. Or even if at 4 overall, you take Brian Burns, or just with Furl, like not all of them are going to pan out. I know not all 5 first-round picks are going to be Hall of Famers. I understand that. But you kind of need like 2 great players, 2 solid players, and then you get 1 bust. That's kind of how that should work for you to be a well-run franchise. That's all I'm saying. It's going to get looked at. You're going to see people talking about it if they're not already, especially with the Henry Ruggs news, that the Raiders really burned through those 5 picks. And how did the Raiders get those 5 first-round picks? By trading away 2 great players. I was never the biggest Amari Cooper fan, but he's a productive receiver for Dallas, and he's still really good. He toe tapped the other night, and it pissed me the fuck off for Dallas. I don't know if anybody saw that, where he caught the game-winning touchdown. He toe tapped. He could never do that shit in Oakland. It pissed me off. Nonetheless, Cooper, really good for Dallas. Khalil Mack's injured right now. He's was having a decent season, but you got those picks by trading those guys. I didn't even hate the picks that you got for them. I thought they got good hauls for them, but man, they had a chance to really crush it and really replenish the roster with good talent by trading away 2 guys. So, yeah, that's about it for me. Again, I expect them to win this game. I'm not going to come out. There's not going to be any excuses. I don't want to go out there, oh, well, the Ruggs thing happened. I don't think people should come out playing sluggish because of what happened to Ruggs. That was a selfish decision by his part, and it's a selfish decision to come out there and lag if that's the case, right? Let him make the selfish play. The Raiders need to go out there and play as a team and win. This is a must-win game. All games are, right? Like, even if this didn't happen, we thought this Giants game was a must-win. It's a must win. This is a morale boost. This really sets the tone for the rest of the year. If you come out looking horrible in this game, no fans are going to be excited about this team, right? So yeah, let's go Raiders. All right, Raider Nation, pick your head up. Let's try to. Hey, shout out to Aaron Rodgers for stealing a little bit of the spotlight today from us. Right, he stole a little bit of the spotlight. I like that. So bless his heart for taking away a little bit of the spotlight, because we were once again the talk of the town, and it wasn't for a good thing. Let's be the talk of the town for being the 6-2 Raiders after beating the New York Giants in New York. If they win, I will go live after the game. You have my word. Once again, you're listening to the Rock Vegas podcast. This is Glen Rockney. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I am on YouTube only now. I only do these live streams. It saves me a lot of time. I'm not doing audio anymore. Most people were coming to YouTube to watch. So if you were listening on audio, come on over to the video. I know not everybody likes that. Some people like to listen while they're at work. I apologize. I do a couple other shows too. I got life and, work a full-time job. So I can only do so much. I wish this was my job, trust me. But everybody stay safe, Raider Nation, especially this week, right? With all the news that happened. So yeah, follow me on Twitter at Glen Rockney. Appreciate you guys, man. Fun. Good to get that off the chest. A little Raider Nation group therapy. All right, guys.